The Boston Celtics are going to the NBA Finals again after sweeping the Pacers 4-0, ending it on their home floor tonight after another collapse in the clutch by the Pacers after making costly turnover after costly turnover again down the stretch. Jaylen Brown had 29, 6, and 2 with 3 steals. Tatum had 26 with 13 rebounds and 8 assists on 11 for 26 from the floor. Not a great shooting game from Jason Tatum. He was 3 for 11 from 3, but still enough to get it done. He missed 2 clutch ones to put the Pacers away potentially, but it didn't matter because Brown had a huge block on the other end, followed by an assist to Derek White, and then Pacers cough up the ball again. Tatum, to seal the game, misses the 3 again, but Drew Holiday on the backside got the rebound because Nesmith was too worried about guarding the gap against Jason Tatum's potential drive. And that was that. When we looked at the beginning of the season and we saw this roster, we saw they picked up Drew Holiday. We saw that they made that big trade for Porzingis, which led Marcus Smart to end up being a Memphis Grizzly. We saw them put together a roster that was competent, but also top-heavy in a way that if you had an injury or two, you could manage it. And Porzingis didn't play all of the Eastern Conference Finals, and to be honest, you wouldn't have even really noticed it as far as results go. Now, during the game, you could obviously feel the fact that Porzingis wasn't out there. A lot of easy chances at the rim. These last 2 games, they had to come back from behind. But you get it done regardless. People don't think about whether you won by 20 or won by 5 on a comeback. You made the NBA Finals. And when I made a video reaching the playoffs and talking about how are the Celtics legit, obviously they're legit. That was more of a clickbaity title, if anything. They're a 60-win team. But Celtics fans, you might want to close your ears here because every finals run is a finals run at the end of the day. But the Celtics had it very easy as far as getting to the finals this year. You play a Heat team without Jimmy Butler, you win in 5. You play a Cavaliers team that's every day seems like something new comes out where they're just a complete mess. Like Donovan Mitchell doesn't want to be there, but he does, but he doesn't. Darius Garland might ask for a trade. Marcus Morris thinks that Jared Allen should have played in Game 5 because he would have taken the shot of whatever to make sure his knee was healthy so he could play, but maybe that's just him. Like, chemistry didn't seem great. And then you get to the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, who beat the Knicks in 7, who were injury-riddled. So regardless, even if you played the Knicks, you weren't probably going to get a healthy Jalen Brunson, and you definitely weren't going to get their full roster. OG Anunoby probably would have played in half those games anyway. Pacers played these last 2 games without Tyrese Halliburton. Andrew Nembhard, got to shout him out because I'm going to say a lot of bad things about him down the clutch later in this video when we discuss the end of this game. But I thought he was amazing. Him and TJ McConnell held it down. At least made it a competitive 2 games. Like, they should have won both these games. Honestly, it should be 2-2 going back to Boston right now. And even one of those games, you could argue it could be 3-1 Indiana Pacers. Really. Like, that's how close this 4-0 sweep was. One of the closest 4-0 sweeps we've seen since the Denver Nuggets swept the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals last year. And what's interesting is last year we had a 3-0 series with the Celtics, and we had a 3-0 series with the Nuggets. Nuggets ended up closing out in 4. But Celtics fought all the way back against the Heat and made it a Game 7. So it's possible that the Timberwolves could do that with the Mavs. It's not looking like it right now, to be honest. But it's possible. But the Celtics made it to the finals, man. As far as what won the Celtics this game in particular, Derek White had a great game. He had 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 5 steals, which was a big difference maker. He had a big steal on Siakam down the stretch. Drew had that clutch rebound, obviously, that I talked about, but also had a huge 17 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists. It was a collaborative effort from the Celtics starting 5. Obviously, Al Horford didn't do a whole lot, but the 4 main stars, I'll say, they're all stars in their own way, of the Celtics played, up to par enough to win them this game. Now, I didn't think they played perfectly. I thought Jason Tatum had a bad jump shooting game, and Jaylen Brown played clutch on both ends, but he wasn't particularly efficient. So, there's things to improve on if you're the Celtics to be in true playoff form, because I feel like we haven't seen the end-all be-all Celtics yet because they haven't played an opponent that's worth them being the team that I think they could be, because honestly I think they're better than what they've shown these last 3 playoff series, but yet they've won them all in at most 5 games, which is what's scary for whoever makes it out of the Western Conference, the Mavs or the Timberwolves, which it'll be the Mavs. But if it isn't, even the Timberwolves, like, you're going to play a 7-game series and then come play the Celtics who aren't tired at all, like, the Mavericks need to close this out in 4 or 5 to have some rest to even have a chance against the Celtics if the Celtics are going to play up to par with Porzingis back. But anyway, turnovers killed the Pacers. I mean, killed them these last 2 games. I'm not a Pacers fan, but holy shit, down the stretch, Nembhard or McConnell will rush the ball up the floor, and they'll just get stuck in these bad numbers situations and just cough up the ball to the swarming Celtics defense, and it's so frustrating to watch. Slow down. Like, how is Rick Carlisle not throwing his clipboard across the arena? Like, slow the fuck down. I get that's how the Indiana Pacers score a lot of their points is in transition. That's how they've been one of the best offenses of all time this season. Like, obviously, we say that every year, that this is the best offense we've ever seen. But they were one of the best offenses of all time this season. And a big proponent of that was getting out in transition. But getting out in transition works a lot better when you have your star player in Tyrese Halliburton, and not as much when you have Andrew Nembhard, who I think can be a star player in this league. He's incredibly clutch. Outside of those turnovers, I mean, he makes some tough shots. But Nembhard turning the ball over late down the stretch is just inexperience showing. Siakam, though, had 2 bad turnovers down the stretch, too. A bad pass, and then he just lost the ball with 2 minutes left to Jaylen Brown. Anyway, we're going to move on to the finals because, while yes, the Pacers did a great job getting here, and they had a great season. You can hang your hat on that. You had an injury to your best player. You did it without Benedict Mathurin this entire playoffs and down the stretch of the regular season. So you can hang your hat on the fact that you made it to the Eastern Conference Finals and you didn't even have your star player at full strength and your 6th man wasn't playing. So if you're the Pacers, this is a great season. But for the Celtics, let's focus on the finals. More specifically, I want to talk about Porzingis for a little bit and his health, because we don't know 100% what he's going to look like when he gets back. Now, he'll have plenty of time. The NBA Finals don't start until June 6th, so he's got time to make it back. What I'm talking about is not necessarily his physical health. I'm talking about how he thinks he's doing physically. Because when he played on the Dallas Mavericks, yes, he was injured a lot of the time. And yes, he was out for a lot of basketball games. But even when he was in those basketball games, a lot of times there was this mental block that he was terrified to be injured again. If we're going to see that version of Porzingis in the finals, the Celtics are going to have a lot harder time winning this series. Because I really think they need Porzingis for this series. Because Al Horford is not going to cut it against Gafford and potentially Lively, even though he's probably in concussion protocol right now. And if he's not, the Mavs are probably hiding something, because that dude got destroyed by Katzany last game. I think this final series, is going to depend on how Porzingis plays. Now, that's very poetic because it's against his old team, and this is his chance to get revenge. If Porzingis looks healthy and is acting healthy, like he can be healthy 100%, but if he's mentally okay with playing through his injury, or not through his injury, but he's at least back from his injury and playing like himself, and his jumper looks good, and he's not forcing outside shots in terrible early shot clock possessions, I think this is the Celtics series to win. I really think this is the Celtics championship to win. And obviously I'm predicting the Mavs are going to make it to the finals. If they play the Timberwolves, this is even a bigger factor, because Porzingis offers outside shooting, which has always been a big part of his game, but also rim protection. And that's what the appeal of Porzingis is. He can fight down low, but he can also bring the opposing center out to the three-point line. He can also work on the elbows in the post. He's incredibly efficient in the post, and he's also great from outside. So it's like, if he's not 100%, or at least not 90%, or at least he doesn't think he's at least healthy, and the Celtics kind of rush him back for the series, that might be a big weakness point for the Celtics, because Jason Tatum at the end of the day is going to do Jason Tatum things. Jaylen Brown at the end of the day is going to do Jaylen Brown things. And Jaylen Brown just won Eastern Conference MVP. Like, he was even shocked he got it. But I thought he deserved it. He was better than Tatum this series, 100%. And I think this whole playoffs, he's honestly, in a lot of ways, been better than Tatum, especially on both ends. But they're going to do what they do. Now, Tatum's going to have 1 or 2 games where he shoots lights out, and that's going to be tough for the Mavericks to manage. And Jaylen Brown's going to have a game or 2 where he shoots incredibly efficiently and also plays good defense on the other end consistently. Like, every possession is locked in. Porzingis is a massive X factor for the Boston Celtics this series. Drew Holiday and how he can manage Kyrie Irving or Luka Doncic in the switch, big factors. When the Celtics and the Mavs played in the regular season, it felt like the Celtics were the better team through and through. But this Mavericks team in the playoffs and in these last 30 or so games is an entirely different team than the team the Celtics played in the regular season. So we'll see. But congrats on the Celtics for making it to the finals and not throwing it to an 8th seed this year. Sorry, that was unnecessarily salty. Y'all take care. Have a good one.